This is Vermont Edition. I'm Michaela Lafrac. In the summertime, I will gladly take any excuse to avoid turning on my hot stove and cooking dinner. Just a short bike ride away from my house is a school bus turned snack bar called Beansies. Their chicken sandwich and French fries make a perfect summer dinner. Snack bars like this one are a Vermont summer tradition and the subject of today's show. We want to hear from you for this one. Whether you call it a snack bar or a food truck or a snack shack, please tell us your favorite place to go in the summer for a delicious outdoor meal. You can call in at 800-639-2211 or send us an email to vermontedition@vermontpublic.org. And we're going to be compiling a big list and a map too, I think, on our website, vermontpublic.org, after today's show. So you can refer to that whenever you get hungry this season. Now, later in the hour, we'll be talking to snack bar owners about the business. But our guest in the studio today is 7 Days food editor Melissa Pasanen. Hey, Melissa.
Hello.
We were already so excited talking about this that we almost just missed our cue to start the show.
You're always so calm, and I'm like, wait, aren't we supposed to be on? And then you were like, headphones on, Melissa.
We're very professional over here. So normally you review restaurants and you write about our region's food scene and food systems. But for us, for today's show, you very, very generously spent some time doing some on-the-ground research. Yes?
Yes, I did. And it was so not painful. So I went to two new-to-me snack bars, one of which we'd actually written about last summer. So Gondola's in Morristown changed hands, had a new owner, Louis Ferris and Haley, I believe his partner. They reopened what had been the Mountain View snack bar. So that I went to this weekend. They have very, very good smash burgers.
Ooh. And smash burger, that's like the crispy, thinner burger.
Exactly.
Yeah?
You take a patty and you literally smash it on the flat top. So it is thin and you cannot get it rare, but it's crispy and just really yum.
Yes.
So my husband and I shared a triple and what they call messy fries, which is sort of like dirty fries, right?
Okay.
So they do use a crinkle cut fry with like a cheese sauce and their special sort of creamy, a little bit sweet gondola sauce and fried onions. That was really good. And then an espresso creamy milkshake. So those were delicious. And then we hiked up to the fire tower at Lake Elmore.
After the
Which
meal?
might not, I think maybe it's like the swimming thing your parents always told you. Like, I think we should have waited a little bit to let the food digest, but it was delicious. And then the second one I went to, actually the prior week, I'd never heard of, and it came as a tip through you folks. Someone you met at another snack bar, I think. So Green Meadows Grill on North Williston Road. And that was also awesome. They're at Foley Fontaine Farm, and they've been there since 2020. It's family-run, sister and brother, Brianna Williams and Spencer Leggett. And it's set up with little picnic tables, and they do a lot of stuff from scratch. I had a Michigan dog. We can get into the details of that. Who loves a Michigan dog?
Oh, yes.
And that was awesome. And they have hand-cut fries, which I really, really appreciated. So those are my two most recent. They have fairly limited hours, so definitely check their Facebook. They are only open Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11 to 3, and Thursday until 7, because the family also has a catering business, so they do that on the weekends. But I do recommend, and I think Williston folks probably know about it, but it was not something I had heard of, so that was fun.
Yes, we went to a couple of different snack bars to do our own on-the-ground, in-depth investigative research for this show. One of them was Joe's in Underhill. And while we were there, our producer was chatting with a customer, and they were the ones that recommended this spot. So there's a real snack bar network going on in Vermont and the surrounding region, and we would love to hear your recommendations this hour as well. You can call in at 800-639-2211. And all right, let's go. Okay. Actually, before we go to anything else, I feel like we need to define some terms, Melissa. We're saying snack bar a lot right now. What exactly defines a snack bar? What is it?
So this is a challenge, right? I mean, I think purists would say it's seasonal. There likely isn't indoor seating, but there are a bunch of snack bars that are doing some winter hours now, and like Gondolas has some indoor seating. So, but both of the ones I went to felt very snack bar-ish. You know, a couple of my favorites, which your producer said really don't count, but Canteen Creamy in Waitsfield and Honey Pie.
Why would Canteen potentially not count as a snack bar?
Well, because it's year round.
Okay.
They don't have indoor seating. Also, it's a higher end. I mean, Charlie Menard was a James Beard semifinalist this year. You wouldn't necessarily expect that of a snack bar, but their food is so good. And then, sort of in a similar vein, Honey Pie down in Jamaica, which is owned by the same folks who own the beautiful restaurant in South London, Dairy Solo Farm and Table. Also James Beard, but I don't think they got that for Honey Pie. But Honey Pie
I have this thoughtful look on my face because I'm trying to remember what I got when I was there a couple years ago. I feel like it was a hot dog.
At Honey Pie?
Yes.
So they do sausages.
Yeah.
So they do really good sausages, like with the Vietnamese toppings, and they do a lamb burger. They do regular burgers too, and great milkshakes and fries.
I kind of have this hazy memory of we had just gone strawberry picking nearby, and then I got a hot dog, and they have this big, nice field right next to the. Am I thinking of the same spot? They have
indoor. I don't know. They have indoor seating.
No, I think I'm thinking of the right spot. Somebody in Jamaica call it and tell me if I'm hallucinating.
It was a gas
station. I remember
station.
eating a hot dog in a field. Yes.
Oh, yeah,
and
maybe.
Just being like in heaven.
I have to say I haven't been there in a long time. I was there I think not that long after it opened, which
I could be hallucinating this meal, but
now.
I think it was real.
Anyway, so those are kind of different, but they feel like snack bars to me. If I'm on the road, those are places I'm going to stop, and even if they have indoor seating, you are more likely to take it outside. And Honey Pie is not open fully year-round, but I think they have a winter season as well as a summer season. So all this is to say, we're open to however people want to interpret this, right?
Right.
Although, I don't know. We were saying how somewhere like Al's in South Burlington feels not quite like a snack bar. It's more
restaurant to me.
It feels more restaurant-y, but I don't know why that is.
Yeah.
You can eat outside there, obviously. So really, it's what you think of in my head, as a place that you would tend to probably go more in the summer, I'm guessing. But and hamburgers, hot dogs, sausages. But I really love the fried chicken at Canteen Creamy, which is not something I normally think of getting at a snack bar.
It's one of my top 5 favorite foods.
Yeah.
Okay, so first, already a correction on my part. I mentioned Joe's earlier. I said it was in Underhill. It's in Jericho.
Jericho, yes.
My bad. We got so many people writing in ahead of today's show on our social media channels about their favorite snack bars. A million call-outs, including Pine Cone in Richford, which is right on the Missisquoi Valley Rail Trail. One person just wrote, "Dude, the Pine Cone in Richford." Another person said that they love the creamies and the food, and especially the car shows. We also got a number of recommendations for Village Snack Bar in Rutland. Jesse writes, they are having a great year, and the seafood platter is perfect. And we have one of the owners, Josh Butler, on the line with us right now. Josh of Village Snack Bar in Rutland. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Good. Thanks so much for chatting with us, especially right now. It's lunchtime. Why did you and your wife decide to get into the snack bar business?
So interestingly enough, we had purchased, back in 2019, we had purchased the Maple Angus, which was just a cart style, snack bar, if you will. And then that slowly morphed into a brick-and-mortar sit-down restaurant, and then the Village Snack Bar became available last year, and we were on vacation. Of course, it's easier to make decisions when you're sitting in the sun and, the stress isn't upon you for the season. But, so we just decided we wanted to keep it local, so that's why we decided to make that purchase.
So what are the biggest differences so far between running a brick-and-mortar restaurant and then running a snack bar?
Well, I think you guys alluded to some of that, that conversation just before I came on. Obviously, indoor seating, air conditioning, stuff like that, that kind of just separates maybe the two entities, if you will. But, hours of operation too. We are year round at the Maple Angus, and then of course the snack bar is seasonal. We start there. This year we jumped the gun. Everybody was excited to get going, so we started early April, and I think next year we'll push it off maybe a couple weeks because we ran into snowstorms.
Yeah, April was a fickle beast.
Yeah, Vermont weather, you know what I mean? Although 2 weeks before we opened, it was 70 degrees, so you just never know, right? So, but and then we run into October.
And Josh, Village Snack Bar has been around for 40 years now. Did you make any big changes when you and your wife took over?
I think the old saying goes, I think if people go in and try to recreate a wheel, it's kind of silly. You know what I mean? You stick with what has worked for so long. One thing we probably did implement into the business when we took over is we used some really, I wouldn't call ultra high-end products when we, started our other business, but at the end of the day, it's very, very good quality product. And that was one thing we wanted to make sure we kind of had, roll over into the snack bar as well. So I think that helped a lot.
And Josh, you grew up in Rutland, right? Did you used to go to Village Snack Bar as a kid?
Yeah. It was a staple as a kid, right? So I think that's, everybody knows the business. You'll find, it's like anything. It's not for everybody, but at the end of the day, it certainly works for most. We've been very lucky with it so far. And a lot of positive, feedback from different people. So we were super excited when we took it over, for sure.
And lastly, Joe, make us hungry. Could you describe either one of the more popular menu items or your favorite item on the menu?
So we get seafood brought in fresh 2 to 3 times a week. And one of, I think, like a super value that we have, our burgers are outstanding. Our Philly cheesesteaks, we have people that come from all over the country and say it's some of the best they've ever had from a Philly cheesesteak standpoint. But our fisherman's platter, for what you pay for what you get, is incredible. You can't beat it. It's a huge portion of strips. You also get a full 8-ounce piece of fried haddock. You get a half dozen pieces of scallop, and then you get a half dozen large jumbo shrimp over a bed of fresh hand-cut French fries and fresh-made coleslaw. So that is we do a ton of those there. So that's a good one to go for sure.
When you say strips, clam strips?
Clam strips, okay. Yeah, sorry, yes. Yep.
Oh, give me some whole belly. But it does sound great.
Melissa's taking notes.
We get the whole bellies in fresh as well. It's funny. I
just
had
do?
A customer say,
I'm coming.
Yeah, no, and it's funny. Like it's tough. We can't control like the size of like what comes into us, right? So they're shipped in either from Boston or Maine. Like I said, every couple of days, and so sizing. I had somebody say something the other day, like, "Oh, the whole bellies were small," and I'm like, I don't have any control over that, but the ounces are the same. You know what I mean? So you're getting the same portion, whether they're giant or whether they're smaller or whatever, you know what I mean? So
okay, you made it to my summer bucket list for sure.
Awesome. Well, it's a good spot to try. Both spots are fantastic to check out. We've been pretty blessed and pretty lucky with our customer base, and so tough to complain when things are going right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, Josh Butler, thank you so much for calling in and telling us about Village Snack Bar.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having us. Look forward to seeing you all.
And if that just made you hungry for seafood, we also got a bunch of recommendations for the snack bar at the Gorge in Queechee. Heather Ann writes that they have the best seafood, and Stacy writes snack bar at the Gorge is a must visit and very yummy. We also got a lot of recommendations for White Cottage in Woodstock. They have fried clams and some other delicious items on the menu. We're going to take a quick break, but we will keep sharing our snack bar recommendations in just a minute on Vermont Edition. Stay with us.
Thanks for listening to Vermont Edition, where support comes from Wendell's Furniture, home of wendellsdeals.com, offering furniture designed for a range of budgets, in stock and ready for summer. wendellsdeals.com. And Vermont Construction's roofing division, offering roof installation and repair with free estimates on asphalt and standing seam metal roofs. Now serving all of Vermont and northern New York. More at vtroofing.com.
Welcome back to Vermont Edition. I'm Michaela Lafrac. Today we are talking all about our region's snack bars and hearing about your favorite places to go in the summer for fries, burgers, creamies, and milkshakes. You can give us a call at 800-639-2211 or type out your favorite snack bar and your order there and send it to vermontedition@vermontpublic.org. Our guest this hour is 7 Days food editor Melissa Pasanen. Melissa, you brought a book with you today for our conversation about snack bars.
Because don't you think about books when you think about snack bars?
A children's book. Tell us about it.
So I'm sure listeners, many may be familiar with this book, Where Does Joe Go? By Tracy Campbell Pearson. And this book, I pulled it out of the shelf for my potentially future grandkids. My boys are not listening, but yeah, no. Anyway.
Love a little guilt trip snuck into Vermont Edition.
No guilt trip. Sadly, neither of them are local, so more guilt trip.
Oh my God.
No, but anyway, they come back. Anyway, so this book is made out to my two boys, Nico and Alex, from 1999, and it is about what happens when the snack bar closes, right? We were talking how one of the things about snack bars is they sort of symbolize summer, even if some of them are going through the winter. So this book I must have read a bazillion times, and it's just so sweet. And
it's about Joe, the actual former owner of Joe's Snack Bar in Jericho.
Yes.
There's a lovely picture on the front of it of him holding a box of fries, a pint of fries, and a creamy. And recently, I went to Joe's Snack Bar in Jericho with our producers, and as you mentioned, I think, Melissa, this roadside spot was founded in 1950, and it's celebrating its 75th year this year, as is its owner, Marilyn Kozlowski. She's Joe's daughter-in-law and has been working there since she was a teen, and she turns 75 this year.
They all order out front or on the phone.
What's the best thing on the menu?
A lot of Michigans. That's the hot dog with the meat sauce on it with mustard and onion. A lot of French fries. Sundays, milkshakes, creamies.
So what are your days like? That's a long day, I bet.
I came in at 9 this morning, and I'll probably be here till 9:30 tonight. It's a busy day.
Yeah. And you're on your feet the whole time.
Pretty much. It's like when you go home and you sit down and then you go to get up and you can't get up. You ever do that?
How old were you when you first started working here?
Oh, probably 16, high school. You want to know how old I am now?
I would love to.
I'll be 75 in October. It's time for me to retire, right?
Oh, I thought you were going to say throw a big party.
No, I don't. Well, I might do that too. Who knows?
This is the year?
I think so. I had a cancer spot on my lung 4 years ago, so I had my upper left lobe removed. So, everything's good right now, but you never know.
Yeah.
So I might as well enjoy myself a little.
What do you do in retirement?
I like to read a lot. Last winter I read a lot of books and sewed. I made quilts, queen-size quilts.
Yeah.
So,
Do you think you'll ever come here to eat?
depends on what happens.
So you're going to try to sell it?
I think so. It's time.
That's a big change.
Yeah. I've got a new girl starting once school's out. Her dad worked. His mom worked. So it's like 3 generations, and that's happened more than once, I've got the moms and the daughters and then their daughters, and kind of a family thing. And, they're all local people, so you know them all, Makes it good.
It's a special spot.
It's a little busy corner, but other than that...
Melissa, one of the things that I loved when I was talking to Marilyn was hearing about what a family business Joe's is and what so many of these snack bars are. They're family spots and places where multiple generations of families often not just buy food but work.
Right.
Yeah. It's kind of a magical thing. We also have Marjorie from Brattleboro calling in with her own recommendation. Marjorie, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi. I didn't expect to be on air, but, it's really nice to... I'm not plugging this place to give them business. I'm telling you about the world's best snack shack.
Whoa.
It's called the Chelsea Royal Diner. It's in West Brattleboro, Vermont. It's a dining car from, 1935, beautifully pristine. That's inside dining. But there's a building that's been built off the back, and they serve up the best creamies. And, of course, we're in Vermont. We're going to say maple creamies. They're there. But deep-fried, fresh seafood comes in 3 times a week from Boston and Maine. The owner, Beau Ford, he actually is a building contractor, or was, but his passion is food. And he purchased this recently, but kept on its tradition.
Wow. Marjorie, this sounds like an amazing spot. You're getting lots of head nods from Melissa Pasanen. I want to see what her thoughts are. Thank you so much for calling in.
That's so interesting, Marjorie. Yeah, I haven't been there. I knew it had changed hands. I think it had closed and was empty for a few years. Is that right?
Maybe about a year.
Okay. And I always thought of it as a diner, but I did know that they had an ice cream window, and I didn't recall that they also sold food out of it, but it was always great. And I was very excited to see that it looked like someone had reinvested in it and reopened it. So I will definitely put that on my list too. Thanks for the tip.
Yeah. Thanks so much for calling in, Marjorie. We have another operator of a snack bar calling in now. And I got to say, before we introduce him, this spot got so many recommendations and hat tips when we posted about this show on social media. I'm counting a dozen or two people writing in about Cajuns in Lowell. And we have the owner, Jason Boutin, with us now. Jason, hi.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're so glad to have you. Lowell's up in Orleans County. What's the scene like there today? Are you open right now?
We are open. I'm sitting out back. It's a beautiful day, and it's a full parking lot.
That's great to hear. Good business.
Yeah, so I appreciate the call because you got me a nice break.
So why Cajun food?
So I'm actually second-generation owner. My parents started the place in 2000, so we're celebrating our 25th year now. And my parents met down in Lafayette, Louisiana, and that was where my dad cut his culinary teeth. So when they relocated back to the Northeast Kingdom, his nickname was Cajun. So it kind of started off as Cajun's Snack Bar, his place. And my wife and I took over 16 years ago, and have just kind of furthered the novelty, we'll say, of that business.
And speaking of novelty, you have a lot of food items on your menu that might be novel to many a Vermonter, including alligator, which I don't believe are local. Where do you get your alligator from?
No, so depending on the time of year, we either pull wild-caught alligator out of Louisiana, or we work with a couple of farms in the Georgia area when it's not in season and pull farm-raised at that point.
What are people's reactions to the alligator and other items like that on your menu?
You know what's funny is once somebody's tried alligator, it kind of becomes their go-to item, and it really it surprised me how much of it we sell. But yeah, it's actually like a super approachable meat. It tastes great. We serve it with a nice homemade chipotle dipping sauce. So yeah, it started out as a novel concept and it's turned into a staple for us.
Is it fried?
It is.
Okay.
Have you had alligator,
I have
Melissa?
had alligator a long time ago, and I don't want to be a cliche, but I feel like it is one of those white meats that
It-
tastes more or less like chicken, especially if it's
I
fried.
would put it somewhere between pork and chicken.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What is your favorite thing on the menu, Jason?
Oh, good question. My personal favorite's the catfish wrap.
Yeah. Can you
Yeah.
tell us about it?
Yeah, fresh hand-breaded Cajun seasoned catfish, fried up with lettuce, tomato, some homemade tartar and hot sauce, then wrapped up like burrito style and kind of crispy grilled. That's my go-to. After a long winter, that's the first thing I usually eat in the spring.
Yum.
And Jason, running a snack bar, from what I can tell, it sounds like hard work. There's very long hours. You're really busy a lot of times, but you also get this nice break in the winter time. For you, what's the hardest part and the most rewarding parts of the job?
The most difficult part is, the long days, the long hours. I have 2 kids, and my wife and I are both still, owner-operators here, so there's a lot of days where we have to kind of divide and conquer between running a business and trying to have a stable household. My 4 and 8-year-old need attention, and we try and be there and be, parents first at this point. So that's the most trying part of the business for us right now. And definitely long ski bum winters off. That's the payout. Very fortunate to be able to be home for dinner every night all winter, and if it snows, I snowboard.
And Jason, when I was talking to a couple different snack bar operators ahead of today's show, one of the challenges that I heard about again and again was the difficulty in finding reliable seasonal labor. Has that been a challenge for you all in Lowell?
What's funny is I was listening to the interview with the operator of Joe's, and I can say, I had a smile listening to that because there was just so much to mirror there between our businesses. We have generations of help that come back. We have families that, I have one girl right now that she's 3rd generation. I remember when her mom worked here and she was pregnant for her. We source a lot of local families. We have a lot of great kids. I'd say we're actually really well staffed. We try and provide a flexible schedule so that kids who need to travel or have sports, we can kind of work into their schedule. So we've been very fortunate in that regard.
Yeah. Well, Jason, thank you so much for calling in and taking a little break from your work day to tell us about Cajuns.
But I really appreciate being involved and appreciate you doing this show and kind of highlighting a special little feature of our state.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Jason.
Okay. Take care.
Melissa, on that subject of labor and the occasional labor shortages that these snack bars are seeing, is that something that's still been a challenge in the broader restaurant industry here in Vermont?
Yes, absolutely. We're still definitely seeing that. And I mean, seasonal businesses of all kinds have that issue, right? Because you have to rehire, which is why it's great if you can have students, high school students or college students. But then the challenge, and I would be interested to hear from a snack bar owner about this, is most of those young people go back to school in August. The snack bar season is not over, right? Maybe early September. Right. So you will often see places posting in late August, early September, we have to trim hours because our core staff members have gone back to school. So that's an interesting dynamic. I do not envy them.
Yeah.
I was going to ask Jason how old his kids need to be to help out at the snack bar.
Well, in just a little bit, we're going to hear from the operators of Kate's Snack Bar, and they have their 13-year-old son working there a couple days a week until he goes off to camp. But before we do that, let's share a couple other recommendations that we heard from our listeners. Sandy wrote us an email to say that they would like to tell us about a great, quaint, private snack bar in Moncton. It's called Queen Bee's, located on Hardscrabble Road, on a dirt section of the road in the middle of the woods. The snack bar has great food and portions at great pricing, and it never disappoints. I assume that by private, she means that it's kind of off in the woods,
Yes.
not that it's for a private community.
We've actually written about cream bees a few times over the last couple of years. My colleague Jordan, it's a favorite of hers, and they had a terrible fire in November of 2023 that they've built back from. And there's someone who I believe they were open on weekends in the winter just to keep things moving and going. But yeah, it's a favorite of at least a couple folks on the 7 Days team.
Oh, wow. And you too can call in and tell us about your favorite snack bar, or maybe you call it a snack shack or a food truck. It's that place in town that is open seasonally, maybe only has outdoor seating, and that you go to for your burgers and fries and milkshakes and creamies and all that good summer fare. 800-639-2211 is our number. You can also email Vermont Edition at vermontpublic.org. A lot of people on social media recommended Kelly's Snack Shack in Wallingford. Joan writes that it's their favorite local snack bar with yummy food, friendly staff, and delicious ice cream. We also got a lot of shout outs for Seb's in South Hero. And you mentioned this one earlier, Melissa, Canteen Creamy in Waitsfield. Megan writes, their canteen is a must. Their food is amazing, and we go every time we go to Vermont. And another person on Instagram wrote that it is the best spot, but they're sort of biased because their daughter works there. But still, the food and the vibe are 10 out of 10. We got a question, Melissa, that I'm hoping you can help out with, because this one's a stumper for me. It's from Donna in South Burlington, who would love to frequent snack bars that provide healthy food options. Air fryers are very popular now, they write. So why does everything need to be fried and served on only sticky white rolls? Can you think of any snack bar fare, or maybe particular snack bars that offer some healthier options? Or is Donna maybe barking up the wrong tree?
Well, I'm trying to think. I wasn't looking for this on I'm pretty sure Canteen Creamy. I know they have a really good veggie burger, if that meets your criteria. And I think they might have a salad or two. I just don't, I'm not sure that is what snack shacks are really about. So that, and again, I haven't looked at Honey Pie's menu other than I looked at it today to see the sausages and the lamb burgers, neither of which probably meet your goals.
An onion ring is an onion at its center.
Yeah, and potatoes are actually,
vegetable.
I've been doing a lot of research on Irish history because I'm going to Ireland next week, yay, on holiday. And, potatoes get a bad rap, but potatoes have a lot of actual nutrients in them. When you think about how whole generations of Irish lived on potatoes, basically. Yeah. Potatoes and buttermilk, I learned. Anyway, that's another point. But
right.
So there probably are
Donna,
some. Honestly, Donna, I'm sorry, I haven't been looking for that, but I will be more aware now, and I'll try and think about that. I will say a nice thing that I'm seeing, whether or not this constitutes healthier in your regard, I am someone who likes when things are sourced locally, and so Green Meadows Grill told me that their beef is locally sourced, and that was kind of nice. And another one of my faves, I don't know if this came up on any of but Burger Barn in Jeffersonville.
Yes. Yep, we got a number of comments about Burger Barn.
They were one of the earliest snack shacks I remember reporting on, at least I want to say a decade ago, and they were sourcing local beef, which is really nice, grass-fed. So that is, if you eat meat, grass-fed beef grown locally, I would definitely consider that healthier.
100%.
Yeah. So I can offer those two suggestions.
We also got a number of shout outs for West Coast Taco in Benson on 22. So maybe they have some non-fried fare, if that's what you're looking for, Donna. But we have so many more suggestions, Melissa, that I have to share. But we do have to take one more quick break. You can still call in, tell us about your favorite snack bar, seasonal spot to go for delicious summer food. 800-639-2211 is our number. This is Vermont Edition. Stay with us. Welcome back to Vermont Edition. I'm Michaela Lafrac. If you're just joining us, we are making each other hungry today by talking about our region's snack bars, snack shacks, food trucks, whatever you call them. They are delicious and a local summer tradition. I'm in the studio with 7 Days food writer Melissa Pasanen. The Vermont Edition team and I got a meal recently at Kate's Food Truck in Underhill. I talked to the owner, John Villeneuve, and they have this amazing menu, which includes king and queen lobster rolls. It's 12 and 16 ounces of lobster, respectively. But we actually ended up talking about a whole lot besides food.
Yeah.
What's the most popular thing on the menu?
House burger or pint of fries? Fried chicken's a big one, too.
What's your favorite thing on the menu?
Pulled pork right now. In the spring, it was fish fillet sandwich. You get sick of it, and then you have to change. You can eat probably like 10 or 15 fish fillet sandwiches, and then you got to get something different.
Hey, I've always wondered about that, of working in a place where you really like the thing that you're selling. Like, is it like a song that you listen to too much? Can you ruin something
probably.
for yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, not forever, but yeah. I've been eating a fish fillet sandwich for like a month and a half.
You mentioned your son works here. Have you always kind of seen it as a family business? I mean, you and your wife started it.
Well, I told him it probably wasn't a good idea working for me. He's 13 though, so it's like hard to get a job somewhere else right now. You know, taking instructions from dad isn't always you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just doesn't go well.
Yes. Yeah, what are your hours like? Like for you
Here?
personally?
Well,
yeah.
my hours?
Yeah.
In the summertime right now, I work from like 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning to like midnight, and then I go to sleep and wake up and work again, like 7 days a week.
So can you talk to me about like building this place and making it wheelchair accessible too?
Yeah, so
that seems like a unique thing.
Yeah. Before I broke my back skiing in 2011, I was going to start a food truck where the mill is, where the grocery store is, and that used to be my family's, and we're going to put it there. And it just kept getting bigger. Because then, like, I need to have a 3-foot walkway down the middle. I need to be able to get around and move in there and make sure that they're cleaning stuff, whatever.
What's your favorite part about owning this place?
Vacation. Cooking stuff, I don't know. I mean, one guy just came back up and got a second pulled pork sandwich because his first one's so good. So, he was like, I wasn't expecting it to be that good. So that makes you feel good.
That was John, the owner of Kate's Food Truck in Jericho. This is the second time, Melissa, that I've tried to place a food truck in Underhill today that is, in fact, in Jericho. Who knows? Underhill, maybe I'm going to start a business there. Have you been to Kate's?
Yes, I have, and it's awesome. And I did know that the kitchen was wheelchair accessible, but I didn't know it was because one of the co-owners was in a wheelchair.
Yes,
so that's interesting. Right. I have to mention, for the last 2 years, I've had Kate's on my bucket list, not for the summer, but for the fall, because they do briefly a loaded Thanksgiving fry. Cranberry sauce, gravy, I think turkey.
It sounds kind of poutine adjacent.
Yes. And it just sounds so good. And every year, for whatever reason, the week of when they offer it, I can never go. So I'm putting it on the list again, and gosh darn it, I better get there.
That sounds amazing. Wow. Well, we have some other folks calling in with their recommendations. Corey is in Milton. Corey, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. Yes, this is Corey Gottfried from Colchester. I know you already talked about Seb's, but because you had this conversation about healthier menus.
Yeah.
Seb's, by the way, I've been a vegetarian for 28 years. I follow a vegan diet probably 80% of the time. And one of the reasons I love to go to Seb's is because they offer a vegan hot dog and vegan chicken tenders, which is rare. I've never seen any snack bar offer something like that.
And they're good?
Oh, they're great. Now, of course, I'm health conscious.
Yeah.
But these are processed foods, which I try to minimize. But for a vegetarian like myself, going out on a date night to a snack bar, which is an old-fashioned romantic getaway, it's a good compromise for somebody like me. And to make matters better or worse, depending on your perception, their ice cream stand is right next to the menu. So, and it's not just creamy. You know, we get sundaes there, and it's just a really nice, romantic, decadent experience.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much, Corey. I
That's
feel
great
like
to
maybe
hear.
a snack bar paired with a drive-in movie could be a good throwback date, too, if we're talking romance. I love that. Thank you, Corey, for calling in. All right, let's share some more recommendations we got from social media. We have so many. M&B Snack Bar in Fairhaven, Dairy Bar in Arlington, Goodies in Addison, Villagers in Perkinsville, we talked about. Tin Shed Grill in Derby, which is I love this. It's right next to the Derby post office. Someone wrote in, and they have the best poutine around. And then Wahoo's in Wilmington also got a shout out. Melissa, do you have any on your list that you are like really hoping to visit, or ones that you've just been to we haven't brought up yet?
Well, it was really interesting that you just mentioned the Dairy Bar. My colleague Jordan grew up in that area, and she, when I asked her for any of her suggestions, she said, the Arlington Dairy Bar ate there almost every day of the first and last month of my senior year of high school when we were allowed to leave campus for lunch. She said it's a Southern Vermont staple, very classic. Interestingly enough, she said that they didn't call the ice cream their creamies. They called them soft serve, which I thought...
We actually had them on our ice cream show last summer, I believe, and I think we talked about that distinction. Though I'm not sure why the difference.
Yeah.
Why they're not using creamy.
She also mentioned in Bennington when she was a kid, it was the Tasty Freeze, and she said now it looks like it's just the freeze. So maybe listeners down in Bennington might know that one if anyone has. And then she has family up in Swanton, and I think you might have mentioned Warner's already, but that was another place she said she grew up going.
We have a caller who's in Swanton right now, actually. Alex is there. Alex, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi. Yeah, no, you all just mentioned Warner's, so maybe I can skip that part of it. I was curious to know if there were any snack shacks that are no longer around that you miss. I know for myself, the Snack Shack in Barrie, that was a staple when I was growing up. So I guess I won't focus so much on the Warner's part.
No, tell us a little bit about Warner's, though. What's your favorite thing there?
Myself, I love the fried clams. I'm also a sucker for a corn dog every now and then. So they get me with that, and their milkshakes there are really good. It's right here between Swanton and St. Albans up here in Franklin County. So our family likes to go there, every now and then.
Well, thanks so much for calling in, Alex. And Melissa, I'm noticing a through line for a lot of these snack bars is the fried seafood. So even though we don't have a seacoast, it seems like there's a real hunger for seafood in Vermont.
Which is making me think that I have been missing the boat because it is not something that I tend to get at the snack shacks when I go to them.
All right. Well, maybe next time.
I was going to bring up one that I think will be very familiar to people in Chittenden County, which was Briganti Snack Bar in Colchester. And I can't remember exactly when it closed, but I'm curious. It's the old Michigan question. So Michigans, which folks may know, are the hot dog, sometimes grilled, sometimes not grilled, with a very finely ground meat chili, not usually too spicy, chopped raw onions, yellow mustard, kind of classic, not something that I grew up with, but something that I do enjoy. They're sometimes called Red Hots, Coney Island, Texas dogs. But anyway, Briganti's was kind of really known for those. And that closed, I want to say, gotta be, I want to say half a dozen years ago, maybe even longer. But that I know was a big destination for a lot of people in terms of ones that closed and I think are missed.
And we just got an email from Chip in New Haven who writes that the most heartbreaking thing was when Lazy Breeze Farm in Waltham went under. It was a farm with a snack shack and a petting zoo to entertain you while you waited for your fresh beef burger. R.I.P. Lazy Breeze, they write. Let's go back to the phones. We have Eric calling in from Moortown. Eric, go ahead.
Hey, how you doing today? I really appreciate this conversation. I was just out west with my boys, and they live out in Washington State, and we were just talking about creamies and how they don't have them out there.
Right.
And then we were fortunate enough to grow up next to a creamy stand.
Do you have a favorite snack bar that you wanted to recommend?
Yeah, absolutely. The favorite one that we really like is Canteen, which you've already mentioned, and they're just remarkably good food. It's not your grandfather's creamy stand. You know, they have things like banh mi's and a lot of Asian food. Charlie, the guy that owns it, travels a lot to Asia in the off season, and it comes back with amazing menu items. And then he also gets a lot of international J1 visa students working for him, and he gets a lot of great menu ideas from them, and a lot of them are really healthy and very different.
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting point that you raise, Eric. That is how Charlie has dealt with labor issues, is he has these wonderful young international students, and he lets them contribute ideas to the menu, which makes it extra fun. My colleague, former colleague, now retired Sally Pollock, did a really fun story about that a few years ago. Eric, it's funny that you mentioned Washington State, because that's kind of where I grew up, and Dairy Queen was where we went for our snack bar, like creamies, soft serve. I didn't know what a creamy was until I moved to Vermont 30 plus years ago, of course.
Mm-hmm. And we also, related name but not related chain, got some kudos for Dairy Joy in Bellows Falls, and a number of other places that have great creamies, but we'll save some of those for our annual ice cream show, which we'll probably do next month, so stay tuned for that. Eric, thank you so much for calling in. We got a recommendation from Sean for Jay's Famous Cheesesteaks. They write, I love that place, and they donate money there to veterans' causes. Do you know Jay's, Melissa?
I don't. Do we know where it is?
No, we don't. We'll have to look that up real quick. We also got a recommendation for the Hive in South Hero, Charlie's Red Hots in Mallett's Bay, Craven's on 116 in Middlebury, and the Tasty Freeze in Bennington, as well as the Beach House in Burlington, which is that little place where you can buy drinks and food at North Beach, which is run seasonally. Right. You could get a tiki drink on the beach, which, I mean, is there anything better than that? No, makes you feel like you're on an island. All right, we have just a couple minutes left. Melissa, what are we missing? What are other places on your list that I got to eat at this summer?
I think I've written down so many notes.
I know.
I so appreciate all the ideas from people. I think,
we have a lot of eating to do.
Yeah, road trip, and I really should have eaten lunch before I came. I think we got everything that was on my list. I'm sorry to say.
No, that's great. And we're, like I said, we're going to be creating not just a list, but a map of different places that we've mentioned on the show and places that got lots of recommendations from our listeners and our general audience on social media. So that'll be up on vermontpublic.org later today. And I just want to reiterate, we visited Joe's Snack Bar in Jericho for this show just to do a little on-the-ground research. And we got so many recommendations from our listeners for that spot with some really, really nice notes. We think it might be the longest-running snack bar in Vermont. If you dispute that fact and think there's one that's been around longer, you can email vermontedition@vermontpublic.org. John wrote, I grew up with Joe's in Jericho. I always had ice cream after my Little League baseball games. Dennis wrote, I've delivered many 50-pound bags of potatoes there. Sarah just writes, I love Joe's Snack Bar. And another person on Instagram says that they worked there all through high school. Melissa, one of my favorite parts of today's conversation was hearing not just about people's favorite food recommendations, but their favorite places to work. It seems like snack bars really provide a spot for, teens to get their first jobs and get some experience in the workplace.
Yeah, and I think the training must be great. If you have managed to work a shift at a busy summer snack bar, I would think a lot of restaurants would be happy to hire you.
Very true. Yes, it sounds like very exhausting work. The other thing the other through line that I loved hearing about was how much the operators of these places love their off seasons, and they work very, 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 very hard for many months, and then they get a little time in the winter to ski or go to Florida or maybe just sleep for 12 hours
By the
straight.
way, Where Does Joe Go? The book.
Yes.
Doesn't really tell you, except he looks very similar to Santa Claus. But it turns out that apparently they used to go to Florida.
I love that. And Marilyn, the operator today, does that as well. All right, well, that is all the time that we have for today. Melissa Pasanen with 7 Days, thank you so much for going on this culinary journey with me.
My pleasure. Now, where is the closest snack bar?
I know, we gotta go. All right, today's show was directed by Aaliyah Papes, and it was produced for us by my colleague Eric Ford. Thank you, Eric, so much for all your ideas around this show. Our team at Vermont Edition is John Ahrens, Andrea Lorian, Daniela Fierro, and our intern, Callie Canuxerl. Today's call screener was Rick Barrett, and our theme music is by Myra Flynn. We have some special non-Vermont Edition programming for you on the 4th, but we will be back with more Vermont Edition next week. Thank you so much for listening, and we will catch up again soon.
These days, there's so much news, it can be hard to keep up with what it all means for you, your family, and your community. The Consider This podcast from NPR features our award-winning journalism. 6 days a week, we bring you a deep dive on a news story and provide the context and analysis that helps you make sense of the news. We get behind the headlines. We get to the truth. Listen to the Consider This podcast from NPR.